Oh là là, Cyprien!
Picture this. You're in a car driven by a man you've just met a couple hours ago on a 5-hour road trip in a country you've never been to before. You don't speak the language. Your phone starts ringing. You pick it up, and it's a man who's supposedly your long-lost cousin that didn't even know you existed, and now you have to introduce yourself as family to a stranger. And that's where I was exactly 1 year ago. Don't worry, let me explain, but I'm gonna need to rewind all the way back so you guys can have a little bit of context. I was born in the Bay Area as an American, regular American, kind of. I grew up speaking and being raised in an American culture outside of my household, and in my household, a completely French culture. I spoke French at home, and I had 2 French parents, or so I thought. Hint, hint. But my whole life, I was known as that French kid, even though I'm completely American just because I have a really French name, Cyprien, and because both my parents are really French and have the accent whenever they speak. So I was known as the French kid. But let me keep it a buck with you guys. I definitely felt way more American growing up. I mean, my friends, the music, the food I was eating, they were all American. And I was really just focusing on being even more American so I can fit in better with my friends. But obviously, whenever I went home, it was really French culture centered. I mean, every summer and winter we went back to France, and my mom's family lived near Paris and my dad's family lived in the south of France. And every time I went back to France, I feel like knowing where I was from and my family history was so important on my mom's side. On my dad's side, we barely even really spoke about the family tree. My grandmother raised my dad and his 5 siblings as a single mother, and so mentioning anything from that era, since it was really difficult for them, it's kind of like Voldemort, like you never talk about it, or it's like the past that we never look back on. But there was one unspoken word that I knew about my dad's past, and that word was Algeria. Oh, and something weird that my grandma used to do is she didn't have any pictures of her past either. None. I just knew the name of my grandfather, Mohammed, and obviously my last name, Boustia, were Algerian. At that point for me, it was just a fleeting word that had no importance to me. I mean, whenever someone asked me where I was actually from, I would be like, oh, my mom's French, but my dad is Algerian, but he grew up in France, so he's pretty much French. I mean, I knew nothing about Algeria, and I had no Algerians in my near vicinity at all. Everyone would be like, oh, Nigeria? And I would be like, no, Algeria. Anyways, years pass, and I just build my whole person as a French American. So after high school, I decided to go to college in Montreal, where they speak French and English. Are you catching my drift? I pull up, and I don't know anyone. That's a whole story for another time, how I adapted, etc. But what do people do in new environments? They find their people. So I become really close friends with 2 French American guys from New York City, Sasha and Jules. Sasha at the time had a roommate. His name was Rafik, and I will always remember the first ever conversation I had with him. He came up to me, he introduced himself, and he was like, hello, my name's Rafik. I grew up in Algeria. I'm Algerian. What's your name? And I was like, oh, my name's Cyprien. Oh, my dad's actually Algerian, by the way. Haha, funny moment. You know, nothing too crazy. He stops me right there. He's like, you? Algerian? I was like, I mean, I'm not really Algerian. I'm American, but my dad's Algerian. Like, I guess, like, you see me? And he was like, nah. You see me's not an excuse. There's white people with blue eyes in Algeria. You? I'm gonna Algerianize you. He said that to my face, and I was like, I'm not taking him serious at this point, but I'm not closed off on the idea because I actually don't know anything about technically my origin, so why not? Long story short, Rafik and I actually ended up being really close friends because we would just watch soccer together all the time. And with him, I actually tried my first ever Algerian food, met a bunch of new Algerian people, watched Algerian movies and documentaries, and just learned so much more about Algeria as a whole. Things started to click in my head. Let me give you an example. My grandmother had this really famous dish she used to always make, and it would be an omelet, and inside the omelet would be like French fries, and she kept saying this is a recipe that she used to always make and have as a child. And discovering Algerian food with Rafik, one of the staple Algerian dishes is literally fries omelet. So at that point, I'm kind of starting to feel a weird connection, maybe a spark. I don't know. It was just the beginning. At that point, I'm in college. Life continues. I'm still hanging out with my American friends and Rafik and learning little by little about the whole Algeria thing. And then one day, like any other, I was at lunch on LinkedIn, as any business student ever does, because you know we grind LinkedIn for some reason. I open my LinkedIn messages, and what do I see? A message from someone, but not just anyone. This guy had the same last name as me. So I open up his message on April 2nd, 2024, and I read this. Bonsoir Cyprien, nous sommes de la même famille et cela me ferait plaisir d'entrer en contact avec vous. This random guy on LinkedIn just claimed he was part of my family and then he wants to see me. I thought LinkedIn was supposed to be for job rejections, not identity crises. I'm also asking myself a bunch of questions because I can see that he's based in France, but does he know more than I do? Has he been to Algeria? What made him reach out? Like, what's going on? I need to be filled in. I respond to him the same day and I'm like, yes, please, let's get in contact. I want to see you. I want to know more. Are you available? No response. Left on red. Like, imagine doing that to someone. Real shit. May need to be considered a misdemeanor criminal offense. I don't. Obviously, I tell Rafik this and he's telling me to double text, but I just end up forgetting. Honestly, it's been months and like knowing my long lost family honestly seems like a lot of work for me at the time. November 13th, so like more than 5 months later, I get another message from this guy and he's like, Bonjour Cyprien, actuellement je suis à Québec jusqu'à dimanche et cela me ferait plaisir de te rencontrer aussi. Aurais-tu des disponibilités? Belle journée. And you know what I did next? After being ghosted for more than 5 months, I snatched the opportunity to meet him in person. So I grabbed coffee with this guy and he explains to me that he goes to Algeria every single year. He has family over there that's probably my family based on his research that he's done because he's been trying to like get all the information because he knows that the family got separated like 1.5, 2 generations ago and has been putting in work for months to like put the pieces of the puzzle together. I'm taken aback. So you're telling me that I have long lost family in Algeria looking for me. There's a whole side of my family that I've never met before. And they didn't even know where to find us or how to find us. So this guy found me on LinkedIn. He was honestly surprised that we made it all the way to America. He was like, America, the United States, god damn. And the last thing he gives me on that coffee chat is a number, an Algerian number. Yeah, so at that point, the connection was way too strong for me to just ignore. So I was like, let me go see this for myself. And the craziest part is that Rafik had been trying for months to convince us to go on a trip back to Algeria with him. At that moment, it was wraps or going. Yeah, it turns out it wasn't actually that easy. The only time we could actually go was during Christmas break because our schools only had one break, just big Christmas break, and then that was it for vacations. So I would need to miss New Year's and Christmas with my family. On top of that, the visa is a pain in the butt to get. My dad had already tried to get it and had been denied. You have to give your name, your dad's name, your mom's name, their jobs, where you live, proof of where you live, your job, and proof of your job. Also, your passport has to be more than 6 months valid. Oh, but that's not it. You have to also show that you bought your ticket to Algeria, not knowing if you're gonna get your visa or not.
What?
And you have to show where you're gonna be staying in Algeria, hotel reservations, or you have to have an official invitation from someone over there signed by the mayor. That's a lot of stuff. Did it stop us? Definitely not. After like 1 month of getting everything together and like a month and a half of waiting for a response, I finally got my visa. And Rafik, Sasha, and I were headed to Algeria. I mean, let me tell you, I'm on that plane to Algeria, excited, on edge. I have no idea what to expect. I just can't believe I'm actually on the way technically back home. Let me spare you the details of the trip, but I'm gonna say one thing. That was actually the best trip of my whole life. And I've been to all the white girl destinations. I've been to Greece, I've been to France, I've been to Hawaii. This was different. If you have the opportunity to go, please go. Anyways, back to the story. Don't worry, we were not letting the trip go to waste. We were doing things back to back to back, especially with all the work we had put in previously. We were gonna make it worthwhile. Then come the last 4 days of the trip. One of them being we're going to the airport. Rafik gets really sick and decides to just stay home with his mom to get taken care of. But I have not yet been to technically my city of origin, Annaba, which I obviously really want to go to. I mean, the trip was to go see Rafik's family in Algeria, but like, I'm already here. Like, one more, it's right there. So Sasha and I walk over to the nearest traveling agency because you can't buy tickets online in Algeria since they don't have credit cards or debit cards or anything. It's all cash. So you go to like an agency and then you buy your tickets cash. We walk in. The guy's like, what flight can I get you? We're like, we want to go to Annaba. We're in the capital, Algiers. There has to be a flight. See, my American dumbass thought it was going to be like 6, 7 flights coming out of that city going to the next, just like America. No. Actually not. It's like one flight every 3 days and they're all full. We're like, bro, we'll give you double, triple the price to get on this goddamn flight. The flights are really cheap, so it's chill. He was like, I don't know what to tell you. They are at capacity. And at that point, I'm like, oh wow, like, am I not actually gonna go to my city? Like,
damn.
But a great man once said, never back down, never what? Never give up! So we go back home and we explain to Rafiq's mom what the issue is, and I had been telling her about my past, so she was fully on board with me going back to my city, and she did us a massive favor. Rafiq's brother, who is like 35 by the way, and like we're 21, 22, she tells him, can you please drive both of my son's friends to go find his family in Algeria? And in my head, I'm like, that's not even feasible. Bro has a job here. Like, he's not gonna drive us. It's like a 5-hour drive. But Rafiq's brother and mom both insist to take me over there. And I promise you, Algeria has a different kind of hospitality. Like, I could not even say no. They are the most genuine, most nice people, and they never expect anything in return. Trust me, I felt bad. I did not want to let him drive. But like, at that point, it was like him driving or me not going to see my family. And I was like, you know what, bro? Thank you. So like, I was like, I'll pay for gas. I'll pay for food. I'll take care of the hotel. I'll take care of everything. So Rafiq's older brother that I just met like that day pretty much ends up driving Sasha and I 5 hours to Annaba. So at this point, I'm on a 5-hour drive and I have this Algerian number that I just keep looking at. Do I call it? Do I not? Who's gonna pick up? What am I even gonna say? Does he even speak French? Does he even speak English? Both Badi and Sasha kept being like, what are you doing? Call him right now. So I grabbed myself by the balls and I dialed the number and I called. It rang. It rang. It rang. Voicemail. I'm like, dang. All that hyping up, all that energy, all that tension for what? For a voicemail? So we continued the drive and I will not lie to you guys. I was kind of like, damn, it sucks, but I was still relieved. I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go visit the city and that'll be it. Like, pressure off my shoulders, but also like, damn, like, what if? You know, like, what? We're 3 hours into the drive at this point. The phone rings. Say it ain't so. It's the Algerian number. I pick up. I'm like, allô, bonjour, hello? Bro, I remember that like it was yesterday. So it turns out he speaks French, so I'm just gonna translate what I said in English to French. Hey, I know this might sound super weird, but I think I'm your family. I got your number from and I came all the way from America to Algeria. I'm in your city. I think we're related. I swear it went silent for like 20 seconds. At least it felt like 20 seconds. I ended up staying on the phone with him for like 10 minutes because he was at work and like between things. But we ended up setting a meeting spot that same night in the city center. So I get to my hotel, drop all my stuff off, and then within 20 minutes, I'm down in the lobby meeting with a 45-year-old-ish man and a 13 or 14-year-old boy. It turns out the older man is actually cousins of cousins with my father, and that he brought his son to meet his extended family from America because he was just curious. So we get to talking and he kind of explains to me the whole situation on how he knew that the family was separated. He also tells me that he's going to call up a cousin closer to my dad. So then he calls another family member and says, meet us downstairs in the city center in 10 minutes. He gives me a ride in his car 10 minutes away in the city center and we meet another guy, apparently one layer closer to my dad, his actual cousin. There's obviously a language barrier because he only really speaks Arabic and some broken French. So there are some mild translations going on and like the service is so bad too. I tried calling my dad so my dad can speak directly to him and this is where I get this goated picture right here. And once again, the service is so bad and I'm trying my best to be the messenger, but nothing really is going through. I end the call with my dad and he tells me the next place on the itinerary list is the house where my dad apparently grew up. So another 5-minute drive goes by and we're in front of where my dad grew up. Let me put a picture right here. I try to snap as many pictures as possible so I can show him obviously and sees if he remembers anything because he left Algeria when he was 6 or 7 years old. I snap my pictures and the next stop is the cemetery where my grandfather, my dad's dad, is buried. Insane because my dad and his mom had never seen where my grandfather had been buried. So we go, but unfortunately it's too late, so I just snapped this picture. Oh, but we're not done yet. After that, he tells me he's gonna drive me to my grandfather's brother's house. He tells me that unfortunately everyone from that bloodline had passed away, actually recently due to COVID, but my grandfather's brother's wife was still alive. So we pull up to the house and I actually get to meet more of my direct cousins who actually still live in that house to this day. This is where I get to take this picture. Obviously, standing out like a sore thumb, I look so white compared to them. Obviously, we're sharing stories on my end. I'm telling them about my family, how I grew up, what my dad has been up to, and his family. And on their end, they're telling me what my dad was like growing up and how he grew up in Algeria. This trip has gone from like a trip back to my country of origins to like finding my long lost family. Inside of my head is like a chihuahua going ballistic. I'm trying to show as many photos on my phone and they're pulling up pictures. Keep in mind, I had never seen a photo of my grandfather ever, and they're out here showing me photos I've never seen before and my dad has never even seen before himself. I think in the span of like that hour of conversation, I learned more about my dad's side of the family that I'd ever known in like 21 years of existence. The only time I was able to see him on my whole trip was that one night for a span of like 3 hours, but honestly, it was eye-opening and heart-opening. I spent hours and hours on the phone with my dad trying to talk to him about it, and he was honestly super emotional. It touched him that I went back to his country. After I got home from that trip, I was not the same person. It wasn't, oh, my dad's born in Algeria, I guess. It's I'm Algerian. And honestly, if you're this far in the video, this is a sign for you to go explore your origins, go explore, go find your family. I've obviously kind of gone this far without my friends, but don't let that stop you. I don't know, man. That was just an insane lore drop. Let me know if you guys liked it and want more stories. I definitely have a couple more in the vault if you want. So, and obviously subscribe. Deuces.